This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your host. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we have a special guest,
We do.
Casey.
Casey.
Bam, 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 bam.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Awesome,
Yay.
It's going to be fun.
Casey is part of the new podcast, Abaddon Eyes.
Yes. Where he's going to be dissecting and talking about and exploring the universe that is Hell House, LLC, and everything that entails. Yeah.
Trying to put all the little pieces together.
Yeah. It's quite the puzzle.
It is, and it's a lot more left to find out, I think, as we go through.
It was really cool rewatching. So today we're covering Hell House LLC 2, the Abaddon Hotel, made in 2018. It was really cool rewatching it, having seen like the fourth one and knowing who Patrick Carmichael was.
Oh, yeah.
And like seeing all the little Easter eggs that really built it up to have 3 as a film. And then 4, like tying in the fact that 4 was already like planned to be tied in at 2 and stuff was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, because the mention of Patrick with who's Gideon Berger, who we got to interview for Abaddon Eyes, which was really cool. But it was super neat hearing like the drop of his name and then being like, oh, that's who that is. Because the first time I watched it, I hadn't seen 4 yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, Patrick Carmichael, okay.
It doesn't,
I don't know who that is.
It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't ring in your ear as much when you don't know. Because then now you're like, oh, okay. It just makes it so much smarter. Because
this is a film you definitely have to watch all of them. And then you have to go back and rewatch to
a few times.
Get all of the little Easter eggs that are in it.
Or about 3 or 4 times, as Casey has.
Well,
800.
Well, when you watch them, when you get to watch them all 4 consecutively, you see how much thought was put into it, and the fact that, and that's what I think interested everyone the most about it is there's so much there that we've seen, plus there's so much more that's still out there.
Yeah, most definitely. And even after the fact, like, I love how thought out it is, but I feel like Stephen Cognetti's crafted such a like universe where he could even go back and pick on something that maybe was slightly mentioned and then build off on something onto that. Like, it would be so cool. Yeah. Like where you can already see that they're hopefully leading up to doing something with the carnival. Like we've had a lot of mentions about that, like in the third one, I believe. Yeah.
That's really interesting, that part of it. But there are so many other characters that you could follow up on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, well, never mind. I'll save that conversation for when we get to 4.
So, yeah.
Because then now I just have more questions that I'm sure Casey might know the answer to, but I'll save that for 4.
Yeah, we'll leave it for when we get there. We'll try to. I'm sure there'll be a few spoilers. Maybe we'll bring something up from the future movies, but we'll try to keep it centered around number 2, the Abaddon Hotel, for this one.
Yeah.
Which we should jump into. We start the movie off first with like getting black screen and typeface talking about how this footage was put together by Russell Wynn.
of Wynn Media Group. Yeah. And basically everything that we're about to witness is tapes that he's recovered and is trying to put together to tell the story of what happened in the hotel. But then we kind of immediately cut to Jackson Mallet. Mallet is how you'd say his last name. I don't know. Went missing in the hotel August 5th, 2016.
Yes. He was last seen breaking into it. He was recording everything as anyone does nowadays. We also get to meet his mother, who's kind of, it's like a it's a interview style setting.
Yeah.
As we're familiar with these films. And she's talking about how he went in, and we see footage of him going in. He's checking out the hotel, kind of like everybody else, how everybody's like, this is a hoax, they don't take it seriously until they find out for themselves going in, like, oh shit,
this place is for real.
Yeah.
Did you expect, first off, Jackson did not look young enough to be
I felt that. Yeah.
her son.
He looked like a grown man. Yeah.
He did.
He was definitely like 34.
I was expecting Jackson to be like a teenager.
Yeah.
Or like maybe 19, 20.
Yeah.
Or something.
Maybe he was just really mature for his age.
Yeah. He just didn't age well or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Or his mom is aging really well.
That's true.
Because then at first I was even questioning myself. I was like, is this his mom? I'm pretty sure it said it was his mom, but maybe it's his like girlfriend or something.
That was mom.
It was mom.
Weird.
That's interesting. I didn't even
catch
maybe
that.
Maybe it's my age that I didn't even notice that. But yes, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely looked a little bit older than what it felt like the vibe was. You know?
Well, especially with the other scenes that they showed of people breaking in and that kind of, it was.
Especially the teenager with the staircase situation happening in a few. Yeah.
Yeet, he says.
And so we get more intel on how, like, after we see the video of him being in there, he obviously is going through it, and then he hears something, the door closes or something happens, right?
Something like that.
And then he freaks out and he's running, and then we just see footage of him obviously going through the house and trying to get out like everyone else does, and then cowering on the floor in fear, as I would probably do, because your demise is soon.
And then I loved this scene of the creature or hooded figure just like standing up behind him.
Yeah.
The way that it just like folded up on itself.
Like an inflatable, like those things that are like, for car. Nope. Yeah, exactly. And then we get more intel from the mom of how after that they started receiving text messages from his cell phone, which is obviously pretty strange because he'd been missing, right?
Yeah, I think it was like on October 8th or something. It was like 2 days later.
Yeah.
After he went missing. And then basically the text messages were saying something along the lines of like, they're in the dining room. They're all in the dining room. They have no eyes. They have no eyes. They have no eyes. And it just kind of keeps repeating that. And you can still hear like it goes off screen or off the screen of the phone. And you can still hear the like text messages coming in. So you're assuming that it's probably still saying they have no eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
How like.
I wonder how that ties into the Abaddon eyes.
Yeah, I could see that. But also how traumatizing to be a parent and like your child's missing and then you're
getting the text messages of their death.
Yeah.
Well,
and then the video sent to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's another way
they're luring them in.
They're luring them in. And it's very scary to think that the entity, the hotel, whatever it is smart enough to use whatever technology is available to it to do that. He did have the scene where he was showing himself in the camera, and then he panned over to the room, and you could see the dining room was all
filled
fixed
with
up,
people.
and they were in there. Yeah, that was that was another really creepy scene.
That was creepy. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. It's always, especially when they don't know that they're in there, but we as the audience can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the third one, whenever she's flipping that camera around and they're behind her. Oh, okay. Oh, you're going to see that. My bad. Spoiler alert.
Well, I've already watched it.
Okay.
But I just haven't taken my notes on it.
Yeah. Creepy. So we have her, then it goes to, we're getting into the tune because she starts hearing the tune on the video, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, I recognize that.
she said she got an email, and that the email,
So
all
2
it
weeks
was,
later.
was like just a picture of the room, which we know to be 2C. And basically all you can hear is Jackson's screamings, and then the sound of the piano ditty, the do 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 do.
And she's recalling that she recognizes the tune because we go to footage of when he was a child.
Mallet Residence, 97.
And
Malay.
yeah, Malay. We were 3
What
years
if that
old.
was their?
Maybe
I'm gonna say
could be.
mallet.
That's okay. I mean, but we
We were 3 years old.
yeah.
Were you 3 years old, Casey?
Oh, I don't think I probably.
And so we have the footage of him and the family, and I guess they're having like a game night or something like that. They're just
they're
kinda
playing
chilling.
Go Fish.
Yeah, Go Fish. And so then we have her hearing. I guess they think that he's asleep, right? And
Yeah,
so
because she says, "Shh, keep it down. Jackson's asleep."
And she goes because they start hearing, they're like, what's that? And they hear the little piano playing the tune, and they go into what seems the dining room, and he's just sitting at the table, and he stops playing it. And then it goes really like cryptic and silent. And he says the hotel opens in 2009.
Tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So already then we can see that somehow the hotel had a hold on him from then, like he was almost predestined to be there. So that's also something that you could go into, because it's like, how does that work?
That goes, and it also matches up with the protagonist in 4.
Yeah
Is those are like the 2 people that have been somehow touched by the hotel without ever,
and they end up going there because of their earlier experiences or somehow. That's wild,
because of like Margot and the clown thing happening to her. Is that what you?
Exactly. And so had that not happened, would she ever even have ended up there? You know what I mean? Maybe there would have been some other way she would have
some
been
other catalyst.
Predetermined to get there. And then I think in my notes, after that happens, I think for some reason I have my notes. It says Mama voice, the Abaddon Hotel.
So it slows down because the mom says that she can hear whenever they played it back. You can hear
that's right,
that somebody, because she asks,
she was like, he
what
wasn't
hotel?
Alone.
Yeah, and whenever you play it back, you can hear it does this audio like slow down where you can hear someone go, the Abaddon Hotel.
Something's talking to him. You can't see.
Which is crazy. And so then we go to the morning. It's the morning mysteries, right? We cut to
morning mysteries, and we have Susie McCombs sitting there, and she is out front of the Abaddon Hotel, and basically she's, I guess, kind of acquired some of the footage and is showing it on her show, is what I'm assuming is happening.
Yeah.
And she's standing in front of the hotel getting some test shots, and she says, like, even our own cameras weren't immune to having some spooky things happen because they captured somebody standing on the balcony.
Yeah.
One of the hooded figures.
They're just like there in the corner.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I love how it just like pauses and it just like slowly
zooms
goes
in on
into it. Yeah. It's so cool. And so we have her then kind of basically setting up, it's been 2 years since the Hell House documentary, because in this universe, the Hell House, it's kind of weird because it's like you're watching a movie about a film that's a film in the movie. Like, it's very Scream-esque, you know what I mean? About like the stab movies and stuff like that, meta in that way.
And to place the fact that, and we've talked to multiple people about it, is the fact that most of the characters pass, once you get to 2, the first film is out there. They should have seen it because it's in their universe.
Yeah.
I love how even in the 3rd one, they're like, have y'all seen what? Like,
yes.
And they're just like, no, I haven't seen it. And they're like, okay, if you see it, you might have a different opinion.
Not want to go in there. Yeah.
So it is pretty funny, and it's very campy and meta in a way that they're talking about it, you know. And it's been 2 years since the documentary came out, and we're basically having an interview with 3 different people. We have Arnold, quote unquote Arnold Tasselman, Mitchell Cavanaugh, and Brock Davies. Arnold is like the town. He works for the town. He's supposed to work for the town as
the city. The whole time I was like, this looks like Andrew Tully. Like literally from the beginning, I was like, no, that's Andrew Tully.
That's the man.
And then maybe it was because, like, I think the first time I watched 2, I fell asleep towards the end. Not because it was boring, just because if I stopped moving for too long,
you fall asleep.
I fall asleep. And so I think that maybe I had seen the end, but not like, I don't remember the twist of it being him.
You just like saw him.
Yeah. And then, so then I think whenever I watched it again
your
from
brain associated.
The first time, I was like, that's Andrew Tully.
That's the dude. Yeah.
Which is pretty wild that because it was him, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild that his
spirit
can like go travel outside. That's pretty powerful. And then Brock not having any idea
that there was a spirit next to him.
Yeah.
On the stage. Yeah. It's pretty ironic. It's pretty comical because, like you said, Brock is our in-house medium. He's like the, like you would see with Teresa. What's the Long Island medium type of situation, like the TV medium, who's just kind of fake.
The one that comes in on ghost hunting shows that is like, ooh,
oh yeah, very
hoopla.
Well, which one was it that we did? Oh, you like, it's one of your favorites, no?
Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures?
No, not the show. The movie we covered.
Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters. Yeah,
yes, it was like that medium.
Yes.
I will say, I think Brock Davies, his actor, did a phenomenal job playing this kind of asshole character.
Yeah, over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, very over the top.
I love when he shows up later and because the door opens, he's like, well, they knew we were coming.
They knew the hotel wants to be heard. He's very silly, very kitschy, but I like him. And I think his actor did a phenomenal, great job. Yeah.
Hopefully we get to talk to him. That'd be pretty cool. We have Mitchell Cavanaugh, who is, we saw in, that he is the person that put together the
Hell House tapes for
the
the actual documentary
for Diane, right?
Diane Graves.
For Diane Graves. And they were investigating, putting this all together. But obviously we see that she went missing. And he's still trying to like comprehend and unravel the mystery and the story of like what even happened.
Yeah.
But while also like not wanting to fuck with it at the same time.
Yeah. The only reason Mitchell Cavanaugh survived is because he was the one, he stayed behind. If you remember in the first film, he stayed behind to review all the footage that Sarah Havel put on the tape or put on the table when she dropped that bombshell of a bag and was just like, everything you need to know is on here. Then Mitchell stayed behind to review all the tapes while Diane and
went to go meet her up.
Other guy whose name I forget now went to go meet Sarah and then died or disappeared, but they're dead.
They're in hell.
Yep. But that's the only reason we have Mitchell here today. And I think it's a really cool job how they made Mitchell's character like kept him in, because he's like one of the only actual characters that we really have carried over from. I mean, we get Alex and Mac kind of a bit. But like he's one of the only surviving characters who gets to come in.
Almost in a way, like a little thread that kind of keeps it all kind of together,
It's not like, it's not like this like
character-wise
sequel that has all the same people in it. It's like just, he's like, like a tiny thread.
Yeah.
That just connects it.
And he was mentioned enough in the first one to know that like there's already a foundation for him. And then he comes in this one. So I thought that was really cool. It's like it's time to shine, basically.
Yeah.
And so we're having this meeting. Susie McCombs is basically interviewing them because they want to get into what happened. But I don't know. It feels almost more like a debate, I would say, as opposed to like an interview. Because obviously we have Arnold Tasselman, who is very like, this is a hoax and y'all made this up, and why can't y'all just leave us alone? This is, we just want to be a normal city, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And
then Mitchell's starting out with, he's like, can I start with a comment and a question? And then he's like, A, you're a dick.
Yeah.
B, why? But like not really. And then I feel like the interview's gotten away from Susie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's not really as structured maybe as she had intended for it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, putting all those polarizing characters and differing opinions in one area, I feel like that happens in reality on talk shows a lot too, whenever they have differing opinions and stuff. Like, it makes me kind of think of the Conjuring universe whenever the guy was like accusing the Warrens of being fakes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had Ed Warren, I almost said Patrick, but Ed like getting defensive and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I feel like every time you put differing opinions in, it probably is gonna
result in some kind of argument.
Yeah.
Well, it makes for good TV.
It
I mean,
does,
and I think I want to say Diane wasn't she Morning Mysteries as well?
Oh, was she Morning Mysteries as well?
I think she was
yeah.
related. Yeah.
So they're kind of following up on that.
And that would
cool.
lead into that. And that's the good connection on why we're like, because there always needs to be a why. Like, why are we even doing this? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And so we have, then it cuts to, we're meeting our other mainish characters in the movie. We
Jessica,
and
Molly, and David is the cameraman.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Just going to start off with Molly's acting was so unbelievable.
A few times, yeah. I could definitely.
Most of the time.
I could definitely.
She did a good job once she was scared.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think she did a great job, like, whenever she was once she got into the house.
Yeah.
But every other, like, line almost that she had, I was like.
Fell a little flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like.
Well, you think that's part of her character?
It could be.
If you think about that group, you think maybe she's the one that does all the research.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I mean, and she's not on camera, and she's very shy.
Very
maybe.
awkward.
Yeah. Because if you do look at it, like, because sometimes you have to kind of look at especially in found footage reels and stuff like this, like, as a fly on the wall and like pretend like you're in this other real world in a sense, as opposed to watching people who are supposed to be actors.
Yeah.
Because they're not supposed to be actors. They're supposed to be just real people.
It
if
could
that makes
be.
sense. Yeah.
She could have also just not been that great.
Yeah.
That could be. Yeah.
But I picked up what you were getting on. I think especially at this point, I felt like the conversation for setting up Jessica and Molly was a little over the top, because they were kind of like, we put a state senator in jail and like all this stuff, and they're really laying it on hammy and thick to be like, we're sleuths, we're investigators, we need to we're gonna figure this out. But they're
really laying the scene of why they're a big deal and why
they need Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yes. And why they need Mitchell. So it's kind of setting up them contacting him later. But we come back to then the Morning Mysteries, and we're talking about Diane, I believe, right? Because Arnold at this point is playing down like what was happening at the hotel, and trying to basically make it seem like a hoax, and like people are blowing things out, or blowing smoke up in the air.
Yeah. And then it goes into basically saying, like, Mitchell's like, if it's all a hoax, then why do y'all have the place being cased 24/7? And why is it, why are y'all so worried about people going in there? If it's all a hoax, then that doesn't make much sense. And then also, can you explain the other disappearances that happened? Because then we kind of, I think first we flash to
the kid who live streamed.
Yeah, but we flash to the Jessica and Molly and all them looking outside the hotel, and they establish that there's like basically a 10-minute window to get into the hotel itself.
Oh, yes, because of the cops and their schedule changes.
Shifts.
The shifts. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think they'd overlap, but
no,
that we had to have a window. So we did.
There's always a window. There's got to be a window.
Someone maybe was running a little late one day.
It was me.
But then, yes. So then we kind of flash to that kid, though, who went into the hotel and Facebook Lived the whole thing. And he's walking up to the hotel. It's very, he's like filming underneath his like chin and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's being filmed on a phone
by
and
a
stuff.
14-year-old.
Yeah.
15-year-old. Yeah.
A younger kid. And we get up to the hotel and the door just goes whoop. It opens right up for him. He didn't have to fight to get into this hotel at all.
Mm-mm.
And then that would have been my cue
Red
to turn
flag?
away.
Yeah.
I would have been like, nope.
Nar.
But then
But I think that's also maybe like the allure and the power of the hotel as well. Do we think that maybe like as you get closer to it or something, there is something about it that is more like...
I think there is
like a
something
spell
that draws
almost.
you in.
Like you're just like, you can't fight the urge not to go
Well,
in.
is this the one where it stops where he sees the legs on the stairs? Yeah. That I think he was just an influencer, and he had talked about all the other scary things he had done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he'd said he went into like an abandoned mine shaft just 2 weeks ago and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think in the moment it was just, the wind pushed it open. That's probably what he wasn't thinking about.
Yeah. He did stop. He paused for a second and was like, that was a little creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so at least he,
But then threw caution to the wind and
went right in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long before he gets in there, and then he just encounters the stairs up to the second floor, and we just see some legs and some little hands.
Yeah.
And so we don't really know who that is.
No,
on the
definitely. I feel like
stairs.
it's definitely Andrew Tully. I feel like
That's what I would say.
because of the outfit.
Yeah.
It felt like his like little suit, little get up thing he's wearing. Pant like suit things. But I like how we also get the mention of how he was live streaming, and that like he literally didn't move and the camera didn't move until like until it died, the phone died. So you're just a live stream of this creepy, just like and the legs didn't move either. Like it was just like, that's wild. I don't know.
And then as it died, we did get a flash of 2C yet again as the like footage died itself.
Like, and it gets all glitchy.
Yeah, it got glitchy, and we get a flash of 2C, and then it goes away.
In a room with 2C on it ever. If I ever come across a room with 2C,
bad luck.
Literally.
Never mind the 13th floor and stuff, but like 2C is the new ultimate bad luck.
It is. And so we have then after that, and he's never seen again, never heard from.
And all he says is just, he's like, I'm sorry, I'll go now, but then doesn't go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just stuck there.
Yeah. At that part, I think we then cut to it's saying how the police couldn't find him, and then I think they cut to Arnold, and they're asking him like, what does he think about the situation or something like that.
Yeah, and I think they're talking about Andrew Tully, and he's like, well, Andrew Tully is dead. He hanged himself after the hotel closed in the 80s, and he's just like, so. And
they're Mitchell's trying to say that he's linked to the reason why people are disappearing.
Yeah. And talking about the disappearances that happened whenever the hotel was operating and stuff like that. And then that's when Arnold's just like, yeah, well, this man's dead. So he can't.
He's very much trying to shut it down.
Yeah.
And then I believe we cut to
I guess Mitchell was getting a little too close.
I think so.
A little too close to figuring things out.
Well, and I think the Tully is going to play it like, the way they always have is there was never, they get close, but then they're like, oh, here's some proof that shows that nothing ever happened at the hotel.
Yeah.
And it leads us to think over the years, another thread of how complicit the whole town was, what was going on there, that these people, disappear. And it had to be, again, probably some local people too.
Yeah.
What happened to them, and why didn't anybody really investigate?
I bet you the whole town was in on the cult.
Why is that always the case that in movies and stuff, like we do see that a lot, like towns and stuff, like communities will be complicit with like stuff because either they're just afraid to mess with it, or they just like.
What was that one movie where the
which one?
Gay couple moved to Spiral.
Man, that was a pretty messed up movie.
The whole town was like basically this cult.
Gaslighting them.
Yeah,
making this couple seem like they were crazy, and they had a daughter, and basically at the end the town people were a cult, and they wanted the son to like eat their daughter or something like that.
Yeah, so that way he could stay young, and it's like a weird vampire sort of situation, but it It wasn't vampires. It was like
just a creature. I don't know what it was.
We covered this film, so if you would like to,
a while back, Spiral.
To go listen to that episode and watch that film, it was a good movie.
I might have to re-listen to the episode just to like refresh my memory on what even happened. But I remember it was good, and I remember thinking, man, this is fucked up.
It was fucked up.
I'm never gonna move to a new town ever again.
Yeah, whole town's me about to move.
And that's another possible whole movie of what's that story when they got there? How did they maybe quote unquote grasp control of this town?
Yeah.
Or I even want a movie about the town Abaddon that doesn't even have anything to like the hotel doesn't even come up. Like, what are the townspeople like? What are they doing?
What if it was like a long-standing thing before the hotel was even built, and there was like a portal
already things happening before then?
Hell, there, yeah.
Mr. Tully isn't the first guy.
Well, you
leader.
Go all the way back to something then like It.
Yeah.
And Pennywise being there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Could be the same thing.
And it was generational how like so many traumas and bad things just would always happen. And
it also reminds me of that one film series you really liked. The one with
Fear Street?
Fear Street, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that.
Yeah. Those are pretty good. But we
also covered that, and we've covered it. Go listen to all those episodes.
Shameless plugs. But we're with Molly and Jessica, and they're having a meeting with Mitchell at this point, right? We're at the table, and they're bringing up their pitch of like, we need you to go with us to the Abaddon because she believes that there's she just got a tip, right? A package or something about there being tapes and hidden intel in the basement in the refrigerator of the Abaddon Hotel.
Yeah, that there was a leaked cult member, basically a leaked interview that happened with Patrick Carmichael.
Ding, 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 ding.
So that comes into play. He comes into play in the fourth film. But that basically, everything. Yeah, like you just said.
Yeah, we get the background information that like he was a part of the cult, but because he was arrested on a separate charge on the night that and we figure out more information later, but he missed basically the mass unaliving yourself.
Yeah.
That the people did that were a part of the cult, and so he ended up being able to provide that leak of information, I guess.
Yeah.
To them, and so.
We also get the fact that Tully designed the hotel like a maze.
Yeah, after the murder hotel by, I forget the dude.
H.H. Holmes.
H.H. Holmes, yeah, for sure. Which was a real place, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, which was really wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what even like what AHS Hotel is kind of inspired by as well.
I think so.
Yeah. But also, is it really like kind of psychotic of me to be like, I want to go, like, I want to go to the murder hotel, like, I want to see what that's like. Yeah, like that's like what do you mean, like trap doors that lead to acid? Like, I want to see what I won't jump in it, but I like kind of want to take a look, like, what does that look like?
Peek over the edge. Yeah,
that's wild.
I think AHS Hotel was also modeled off of the Cecil.
Cecil, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we are learning more about that information. We're getting their kind of pitch to him of how they want him to go. And he's definitely apprehensive. He doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah. He's like this. You do realize that this is like a crazy place to break into, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is pretty much, you're saying some wild shit right now. And I don't want to go in. But
Jess is really trying to convince him, and I think she's also hitting it heavy. Like, don't you want to find out, what happened to Diane? You know,
yeah, she keeps playing that card. Yeah, that's the one thing that'll get him to go there.
String, you know. And so he kind of, he ends up falling into that of doing that. And then we cut to
May 7th, 2015. We've got another kid going into the hotel.
Oh yeah, he's going in on a bet or something like that, right?
Yeah. And he's running around. He enters through the front door, or where all the tour goers came in through in the first film. And the door's open for him too.
Yeah.
And
we see Paul's bones, don't we? Or isn't it his skeleton? I thought it was his skeleton, if anything. But then I don't know, because obviously bones would be removed. I don't know, But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
well, we're getting echoes of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because we hear, I believe her name was Melissa, her conversation with Alex saying like, oh, I just don't really, or was it?
Sarah. Are you talking about?
No, the actress who was chained up in the basement.
Oh, yeah. Melissa, yeah.
Yeah,
We hear
that's a little
brunette.
bit. That's a little bit later on
Yeah.
in the. But yeah, you do hear it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we see her at the end,
Yes,
but we're hearing echoes of a conversation with her that happened between her and Alex in the first film.
yeah, they're sitting there.
Yeah, you
On the
can't.
couch.
I don't think you can see them, but yeah, it's the conversation of when they're sitting on the couch. You're hearing it, and then basically he kind of. Do we see him get out of the house? I don't think we do.
No, he's I believe trying to leave or trying to get
and
out.
then it just kind of cuts all of a sudden to September 30th, 2016, and we've got our two people picking up a hitchhiker.
Yeah, we have our couple picking up. I guess I'm assuming they're a couple.
I assume they were a couple.
Yes, they're picking up a hitchhiker. Which
yeah, I think
also
they said like babe and stuff.
Yeah, they did. But also, it was the like enthusiasm of like, oh babe, it's a hitchhiker. We really got to pick her up. We got to. I'm like, who does that? Like, if I see, my heart wants to pick you up, but my brain, I'm not gonna pick you up.
Well, the one was like, yeah, we don't really want to do this, and he was, it's cold. We need to help her. You know.
Yeah, he was like, who hitchhikes anymore?
That, but
for real.
That's just kind of dangerous. You never know.
It is.
Like,
that's. I mean, the whole reason the 70s were as like
because people
bloody
were
as
picking
they
up
were, because everyone was
hitchhikers.
hitchhiking, and they either got murdered by the people who picked them up, or they got murdered by the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
So there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't pick up hitchhikers. People.
But yeah, so
I would have been like, bye.
Yeah.
Call the police or something.
I don't know. That would have been, maybe that. Be like, hey, it's only someone who maybe needs some help. Can you send someone
on
over?
the side
Check
of the
her
road.
out. Yeah. But we have. Yeah, I actually had a situation like that just popped a memory a couple months ago.
Were you hitchhiked?
No, where I had to call the cops on someone because they seemed like they needed help.
Oh yeah.
But it was a situation. I'll tell you after the podcast.
I've had that happen as well. One time when I was driving down.
Oh yeah.
Like I was trying to get to 18th Street from Waco Drive, and this woman ran out in front of my car and was like waving me down, but it was pitch black outside, and I was like,
I'm not get hit by someone.
Well, yeah, and then I was like, what if this is a ploy to get me out of my car?
Yeah.
And then somebody like they either rob me or they kill me.
That's true.
And so I called the police and was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but there's someone who needs help on this street. Can you please send someone?
Send a patrol car.
And then I
out.
didn't stop.
Yeah.
I just was like,
well, it's your safety is important.
Yeah, because I was alone.
Yeah.
And stuff too. And so I was like,
it's dark. It's not late at night.
The same thing was how I don't trust a lot of police officers. And I've made them, whenever they try to pull me over on the road before, I'll drive until we get to like
really
well-lit
area?
gas station or something. And then I'll let them pull me over.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're always like,
why didn't you stop immediately?
Yeah. And I'm like, because I don't know you. You could be impersonating a cop.
That's true.
I can't. It's dark outside. I can't see your letters on your car and stuff. You like there's. I mean, didn't like Ted Bundy impersonate cops and stuff at some point too, or one of the main killers out there?
I'm sure someone's doing it right now, Caitlin.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're all going to die.
Well, we are. I mean,
That's true.
That's true. Once we are born, we're slowly on the demise too.
Yes.
Some of us faster than others, unfortunately.
Sad.
That's not wood. Anyways, I don't know. Oh,
that's wood.
Okay. It didn't feel like wood when I tapped it. We have them picking her up, right, though. And so it's funny, though, while like they're talking to her from the car, and then all of a sudden she's like already getting in the vehicle. I thought that was funny. I was like, that was so fast.
Well,
she's a
you
spirit.
can kind of see her running.
Yeah.
She kind of like runs at the car.
Okay. Yeah.
The moment they stop and like
their focus
like,
is on like their faces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see her body kind of dart.
And all of a sudden she's just like already getting in. And I'm like,
car.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. And I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the car and they're like, where are you going? And she's like, the Abaddon Hotel. And they're like, isn't that place closed?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, I've already checked in. I checked into the hotel October 8th. And they were like, it's September 30th, sweetie.
Yeah.
What's going on? They kept calling her sweetie.
Sweetie, honey. Yeah. Do you need some water? Do you need anything? I'm like, you guys, she needs to be exercised.
Yeah.
She needs to be put to rest.
She's a ghost. You just picked up a hitchhiking ghost.
And so we end up they end up taking her, do they not? Yeah.
And as soon as they get to the hotel, everything's boarded up. But as soon as they get to the hotel, she like yeets herself out of that car.
That's right. And they're chasing after her for some reason.
Yeah, and she's moving so fast. Yeah. She's like running into the hotel, and they go in after her. And I would have been like,
that's your stop.
Leave her be. There you go. That's where she has to go. She must know what she's doing. But then again, I'm not as nice as I guess these people were.
It's true.
But they follow her into the hotel, and it was creepy how she would like run and then wait for them to catch up and then keep going. Like, because she could have got down to the basement so much faster, but they wouldn't have known to follow her down there had she not like stopped.
She's waiting for them. She's definitely leading them to their doom.
Yeah,
down there. And
then we get this flash on the screen of 15 people died in the Hell House accident. 7 bodies were never recovered.
Savannah Collins. My bad.
I was like, but Savannah was one of those people, basically. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really see the resemblance.
It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
We're supposed to, they're saying that this is Savannah Collins, who was the hitchhiker. Yeah. So, she's a ghost. She was one of the people who died on the opening night.
Yeah.
And she is, I guess, working on behalf of the Abaddon at this point and attracting other souls.
Luring people there. Yeah. And she was said to have hitchhiked to Hell House opening night, too. So her ghost is maybe replaying somewhat.
That's true. Yeah.
Kind of an echo as well of what happened that night. And then she lures him down into the basement, and once they get down there, she is not the same. She looks very different now. Very scary. Her face looks
kind of like everyone else too, how like their eyes get really bloody and stuff, and they look all
some Abaddon eyes.
Exactly. Shameless plug. And so we have then we cut to we're at the bar, right, with the gang, the group, Jessica, Molly, Mitchell, and David. Yeah. And we're all talking. We're kind of familiar with like the other group in the first movie, kind of having a bonding moment over some beer and food before we all die, essentially.
Yeah, giving us a nice little, like in every found footage film, basically we have that nice thing that humanizes these characters for you, so that way you can really get to know them,
care about them, their bonding moment, like some lightheartedness in the midst of like all of the heavy stuff we've been dealing with in the movie. And then like they're Molly and David get up to dance.
Yeah, they go dance, which I was like, so weird that they're just dancing in the middle of like this restaurant.
small
restaurant. Yeah.
Like, no dance floor.
You could see the waiter like come by and like
he's like trying to work around them.
Arches back to like get past them and stuff, and he's like he's smiling at them.
Yeah.
But he's
not trying to ruin their good time.
Yeah. But it's like, this isn't a dance floor.
No, yeah, that's funny. No, it's like one time.
If someone got up and did that, I would be like, what the fuck is this person doing?
You've been to my family's restaurant.
Yeah.
We had some lady had a birthday there one time. Not like planned, but like they came in and it was her and her husband. That's what it is. It was her and her husband. They came in. It was a while back ago. And they're having breakfast. But then he kind of gets up to go. And he brings in the whole mariachi band in with him. What? And they're like serenading her and singing her. And I'm like, this is a small ass place, you guys.
You just brought a whole mariachi band. We're trying to
not
just
even
sell
like,
some
didn't even be
breakfast
like,
food.
hey, you guys, I'm gonna bring this band in. Is it okay? Like,
yeah,
was just like it was like 3 people. It was guitar player, little thing, and then the thing, and then he was singing and stuff. So it was just really funny. But I was just like, it was funny because you have like, and then like in the midst of like more people are coming in, people are trying to leave, and then like and then everybody's like, what the hell is going on? What the hell's going on in here? So nobody's really leaving because they're getting up and they're like. And then people are coming in and they're like, so it's like everybody's just kind of like in the way. Yeah.
I love it.
It was funny.
Okay. That's funny.
But yes, we're dancing, talking. Then we have this moment between Jess and Mitchell and them having a moment to talk to each other. And remind me of their conversation.
Basically, Mitchell is talking about... She tries to ask him some questions, and then Mitchell's like, I'll tell you off camera kind of thing on another time when we're not. And she's like, I can turn it off right now. And he was like, and miss this, and points to the dancing and stuff like that. I don't really remember the exact details of their conversation. Do you?
I think was she asking about Diane?
Yeah.
I think so.
I
I think she asked, like, what do you think really happened to Diane or something?
And I think he is, he's beat up about it because he did try to call him when you go back. And she wouldn't pick up. Diane wouldn't pick up. And then she went up to 2C.
Yeah.
He's just trying to figure out where she's at. And then,
did they bring up Sarah Happel at all?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, because I think they talk about her.
Yeah, she says, "Do you really think you interviewed a dead girl?"
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, "That's what he says."
Yeah. I'll tell you later about that off camera. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, but yes, and then they're talking about Diane. And then I believe they're talking about how Brock Davies will be going with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, how did he know? And she was like, he just knows things.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about him. He just knows. So
I wrote in my note here, I was like, Jessica's not convincing at all about this part about Brock Davies. Yeah. But then
also, this was just a weird thing, but their hands, that table must have been so close to their hands. It felt like there was like weird sexual tension between them.
They were kind of touching.
Because their hands were so close to touching the whole time.
Like that.
Like, yeah. And then she would sometimes reach out and touch his hand.
I never noticed that.
So it just felt like, and they were both leaning into the table so much that I was like, what's going on between you two?
That's a separate movie there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could see with probably her character trying to pull out more information.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, she's there ultimately to...
her own agenda.
Yes. To make her that...
get her story for the insider.
She wants, yeah, exactly. Yeah. She
just
wants
like
her next
Margot in 4.
big hard hitting story. And so we then arrive at the Abaddon Hotel, right? We're with the gang. And then we immediately...
and it's Sunday, October 8th.
Yes.
So they're doing it like exactly however many years later. No. 9 is the third movie.
8.
Yeah.
Because the third movie is just a year after, right? I believe this one. It's just a year after. They're a year apart. In terms
and then
the
2 years since the Hell House documentary had come out.
But we're with the group, and I love how, for some reason, I guess you're right, how Molly is the researcher and stuff like that, because immediately as they're all about to get ready to go in, Molly's like,
she didn't want to. She didn't really want to.
She doesn't want to go in, and so they're like, but
and her acting here was believable.
Yeah, for sure.
And she looked like, again, she did a good job of acting scared.
And Jessica comes up with the we need someone out here to look out for cops anyway, so you can be the person to stay out here.
You'll be the lookout.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then basically they all start heading into the hotel. And they get to the door, and it's there's no lock on it, right? But there is still a door handle.
Yeah.
And they're kind of jiggling it, and then it opens, and then Malcolm and Brock Davies show up.
Yeah.
Malcolm is Brock's cameraman.
I love how he just showed up too. Like he just kind of like a ghost as well, just like pops up. Yeah, it's funny. And right before this too, Mitchell was explaining to them that they need to listen to him, and like he's trying to basically explain like the danger of the situation that they're about to walk into.
Yeah. And I think at some point we get a flashback to them talking over like some blueprints, and him saying like, when I say run, or like get out of that house, you drop whatever it is you're doing, and
drop
you get
that camera,
out of that house.
that camera and run.
Yeah. And she was like, no, we don't drop the camera here.
That's not what we do. Yeah.
She was like, we film everything, non-negotiable. Yeah.
When he's just like, well, then just run.
He said,
he was like, you better know your way out.
You better remember where the exit is.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they're going through the door that everyone ran out through on the opening night of Hell House Night when the disaster happened. The people who happened to survive. And yes, we have Brock, Malcolm. He's doing that whole thing when he was like, oh, it knew we were coming. And
the hotel wants to be heard.
Yes. And then we end up going inside, right?
Yeah.
But before, like at the same time that we're going inside, we get the glitch and the cut, and then we go to
Jessica looking real rough on October 12th. So some time has passed because they got there October 8th. What, it's 5 days? Is that math?
4 days.
4 days? Okay. Yeah. I think they say 5 days.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because they're like,
Yeah,
you've been missing.
for 5 days,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I can't do math
I don't
anyway,
do
so it doesn't
math.
matter. Anyway, she's been missing for however long.
She's been missing, yeah.
Yeah.
And she looks rough. Real rough. And she's all twitchy, kind of fidgety, like a little scared mouse or something.
And she's with the cops and she's being interrogated, not investigated, a little bit. And then she starts screaming, right?
Yeah, because they keep asking her questions like, where were you? Who are you with? Kind of thing. And they were like, can you tell us anything about what happened to you? And then she's just like, no. And just like screams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we get back with the gang as we're in the Abaddon Hotel, and quite immediately we're gonna split up, right? Because they're going in there just a little bit, and that's whenever Brock and Malcolm are like, okay, we're gonna go over here and do our thing.
They're going to the dining room while Jessica, David, and Mitchell are going down to the basement. And as we come in, we see on the wall too, Est Aperta Porta. Is that how you say it? I don't know. It's Latin.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
I don't know Latin.
Yeah,
but
that sounds right.
They
That's
say
how it
porta
sounds.
means door. And doesn't it mean
the door's
that
open?
The door's open.
Yeah, the door is open. Yeah.
And that
So-
wasn't there before in any of the
Yeah.
other footage. They didn't see that.
Yeah. We saw it. Did we see it with one of the young boys coming in?
And they're the boys who disappeared. I don't remember.
I don't remember
maybe. But it does flash, like it comes in glitches.
Yeah.
And then we have them seeing blood on the floor, I believe.
Yeah, they find Sarah's blood. And this is Jessica and that group. They kind of stop and they're just like looking at the blood, and she was like, Sarah? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And based on the footage, because we saw Sarah die and then get dragged off.
Yeah.
Mitchell did, and that was whenever he tried to call Diane and be like, Wicca, what? Something's really wrong. And Diane didn't answer. And then something real wrong happened to her.
Oh, poor Diane.
R.I.P.
Yep. And then at this point, we have Malcolm and Brock in that other separate room, and they're going to try to contact the ghosties. But before they do that, Malcolm makes this, like, what does he make? The joke is like, oh, it was killer night or something like that.
Yeah, he was like, I heard it was a killer haunt.
Yeah.
And then Brock was like, how long have you been waiting to say that? And he's like, I just had to wait to get it on camera.
And then the best jokes, man. And then we have them seeing nooses as they turn their heads around, but the nooses weren't there as they were walking into the room. So they're like, wait, was that there before?
Because, they're panning across the room, and then you can tell, well, I could tell. I got bad vibes from homegirl sitting in the chair. I was like, no, she looks too similar to like the girl that got Paul a little bit.
Yeah,
and so
in the bedroom.
I was like, it looked like she was wearing kind of like the same little nightgown.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the same girl because she looked different whenever she ends up standing up. But I was like, I don't trust that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a dummy or not.
It's the same vibes. And so they end up, he pulls the planchette out, right?
Yep.
And starts
Brock
to
pulls out his planchette.
do a
Little seance investigation of the ghosts.
But
interrogation.
Before that, I believe we're back with the gang, right? As they're going down to the basement, because then they're wanting David to go first.
Yeah,
and I love how he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I go first, huh?"
Yeah.
Well, he had the best light.
He had the best light.
He had the best light. Yeah.
I was like, that part made me laugh. I was like, that's a.
I'd be damned if I was first.
I would be like, well, you take the camera
yeah,
then.
It's a good one.
You can have this light, and you go first.
And I love how as they're also going down, I believe I for some reason I have my notes. I'm like, why is Jess touching everything? Jess is just putting her hands on everything. I don't know why.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm just like, that's the one thing
Touching
you don't do.
the walls, touching the chains. Yeah, she's doing everything.
I would be the what was it? Ganjam Asylum. Whenever the one girl was like freaking out, she was like, he's touching everything, he shouldn't be doing that.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Like with the doll and everything.
And she like runs off and is freaking out.
Yeah.
Is pissed off. But we also see the clowns are still in the basement from Hell House 1.
Got all three of them
lined up. Yep. But then they get to the fridge rather quickly and easily. Nothing really, too creepy or, too bad happens just yet. We get in there and then we're able to see that there's like a lot of boxes with a lot of information in there that they have to go through, which they start to do.
Which I'm guessing there were multiple fridges right down there
Also, why would you need multiple fridges? What were they keeping down there
in the
fridges?
basement.
Yeah, they talk about how they got the information from Patrick, and Mitchell was like, they searched all the refrigerators upstairs, but they didn't research anything downstairs.
Yeah.
And I just think that's, again, the house
Yeah.
putting all
Yeah.
that stuff there.
Probably.
Because then in the first film, we also get Mac and Tony
They
going
were-
into the fridge. And I'm wondering if all that stuff was in there when they were in there as well, or if it was a different fridge, like there were 2 fridges down there or something, and they went
Could
into
be.
an empty one, and then there was one that was full. I don't know.
This basement is also a huge basement.
Yeah,
From-
it is.
it
I mean,
does-
it's a
I
big
mean,
hotel.
Yeah. So it's like there could be another part of it where there could have been a refrigerator that no one saw. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or in a room or in a little closet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which it does seem like that's what they're tucked away into. But we have them. That's when we cut back to Brock filming the seance thing that he's doing. Not
Yeah.
necessarily seance, but contacting the spirits, the medium.
He writes kind of like a makeshift Ouija board, but just basically with yes and no on either side. And he asks first if like Andrew Tully is with them, and the planchette pretty immediately slides over to no. And then it just stays on no as he asks a series of questions that I don't really remember all that he asked.
Yeah, he's basically just like, are you one of the ghosts? Then are you like, do you want to harm anybody? Have you harmed somebody? Something like that. And it's like, yes.
When it
yes.
says, did you intend to do us any harm? It
Yeah.
slides over to yes. And as Malcolm is going around the room, the girl's head moves too.
Yeah.
Her head like is facing them. And I was like, Malcolm, how do you not notice that?
That's
That's terrifying.
hard nope for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part was creepy. I was like, nope. But then,
And then she stands up.
yeah, once he asks, do you intend to do us any harm? And it slides to yes, the girl stands up, and then they're like, okay, we're leaving. They get out, but they immediately round the corner, and then bam,
Ran
she's
into
right
her.
there.
And then we just get camera cut out.
Yep.
Yeah. So we can only assume that they are no longer with us. Which
They got caught.
We'll find them later. We'll bump into them. They're just hanging around.
Yeah, he had
Just
four
hanging around.
questions, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. He's a professional paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got literally 4 questions with this thing, and that was
before
it.
it was
And
like,
they were like, nah, he knows too much already.
yeah.
Get rid of him. Yeah. And so we're
The
back with the
hotel
guys.
was like, hear this.
Yeah, it wasn't Tully. It wasn't any of his group.
yeah.
It wasn't anybody. I think they asked, was it
Of the
anybody
original
from
Hell
Hell House?
Yeah.
So it was the big bad, I guess.
Yeah.
The devil.
Whatever.
Whatever entity is there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
there's also like, it could lead up, like, there also might not be just ghosts there. Could there also be like demonic presences or
I think
entities?
Well,
I'm
it is
assuming, 'cause it's
definitely
open
demonic.
to, the gates of hell.
They
yeah.
talk about, and then see this again, the whole lore of actually how it goes. They talk about that they were going through, the Abaddon was a demon. And is
Yeah.
that,
He was the guard, right?
yeah, how far into, the 9 circles have they gotten, and who are we dealing with,
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
which is cool.
That's all super interesting. And then we have after that the gang is we're with the gang, and they're because what's his name, David, is like pissed off that they don't have nachos or something like that.
Yeah.
He wants some
He's
nachos.
like, I just want nachos. They got Holstein lobsters, but they don't have nachos.
Yeah.
And she was like, focus up. And he's like, I'm focusing on these nachos that I want to put in my belly.
But also that menu had to be old, from the 80s or something? Were
Yeah.
nachos even I'm sure nachos were everything, but I don't know. Like, were they popular back then? I don't know.
Enough to like put
Be
on
on
a
a hotel.
menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like now, okay, that's like any place, every appetizer, like Five List has like a nacho or something. on
Nacho
it, but
plate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Now I want
And-
nachos. Damn. All right.
The cameras set up they had set each of their individual cameras down on boxes and stuff as they got into the room so they could still film while they were searching through the boxes. And this one is getting it's shot over their shoulders, and we see our homeboy Mr. Clown, Hell House Clown, walk right by the door, and it's
Yeah.
like, because this
Creepy.
is the first time I think you actually get to see it move. Like, because in the first film, it popped up places and then like it would move its head off camera
That's true.
Because like Paul was like, "What are you looking at, buddy?" And
Yeah.
then went back to his face, and then the head was looking at him and stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time that you're actually seeing the
In motion.
clown in motion.
Like
yeah.
walk, yeah. Which is really
is
creepy.
terrifying.
And they don't notice it, obviously. Of course
And they don't
don't.
notice it whenever they go back out the door either, that
Mm-hmm.
there's only 2 clowns instead of 3 now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And
Clown's so creepy.
as they're going through all that and kind of closely followed by that, they get the walkie that Molly is like, "Hey, you guys, where are y'all? I'm inside." And they're like, "Wait, what are you doing inside? We told you to wait outside." And so she's kind of freaking out on the other end because she's saying that, or no, it's not happening yet. They're like, "Okay, we're going to send, David, is it David, to go up and find you? David's going to go up and get you." He goes up to her. And it's when he gets to her that she's like, "What do you mean? Like, you told me to come in."
You called me.
You radioed me.
Yeah,
You
and he's
said
like-
that we could really use some extra hands in here. And
Yeah.
he was like, "No, bitch, I didn't."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yes, bitch, you did."
Yeah. And she was very adamant. And he's like, "No." So at this point, she's kind of like pissed. And she's like really freaked out of why she's in there. And so that's whenever I think Jess and them come upstairs to meet up. They're all together.
They radio back down to Mitchell and Jess, and they're like, "Hey, she says that I radioed her to come inside." And then Mitchell was like,
It's time to go.
"What door did she come in?" And he was like, "The front door." And he was like, "Well, check it. Is it locked?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's locked." And Mitchell was like, "We got to
This is
go right
it.
now.
It's time to
Yeah.
go.
Time to drop your stuff and go." And he's like freaking out, and Jess is like, "Calm down." And anyways, they make it upstairs, and they are like, "Okay, let's get out of here." But then they're like, "What about Brock?" And David was like, "I honestly forgot Brock was here." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
me too."
Same.
I forgot already that Brock is dead.
And then they're basically just like, "Well, we're going to still exit. And if we bump into them, we'll bump into them."
Yeah.
Like kind of situation.
If we find them, we'll find them.
We'll look out for them essentially. Which they don't have to look out too far because they make their way through. And
They make it to the dining room, and they see poor Jess pokes her head in first and like screams. And then they slowly open the door, and we see Malcolm and Brock both hanging from the ceiling in those 2 nooses. They were made especially for them.
yeah, poor guys did not cut it. They couldn't cut it. Another It reference.
Yes.
And so
Stanley
just couldn't cut it, something like that. And then the clown, they end up making their way after freaking out and trying to run and get out. They get to it's a backdoor exit.
Yeah,
it looks
the
like
door that they came in
through, right? And
Yeah.
then that's whenever the clown is standing there right in front of it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh,
with his head turned and his arm up. And they're like, "How the fuck did it get there?" And he's like, "It's just a dummy. It's fine." Like, and starts walking towards it, and then its head moves.
because he's like, it's not gonna move. It can't
And
move."
its arm moves, yeah. And it turns, head moves to face them, and they're all like, "Ah!"
Rightly
What the
so,
fuck?
because then
Yeah.
that door just slams shut, which kind of sucks because that was their exit.
Yeah.
And so we obviously can't go that way. And then,
Ugh, can you imagine just if they did go by that door and the clown just like scooped them up?
that's what I was also thinking. Like, if one of them, or I was also thinking, like, what if in an alternate universe, Mitchell had done that, and like that would have been super scary to see if like he's running and then like you just said, like it just like stops him,
Yeah.
halts him in his tracks.
That'd be terrifying.
Well, he could only grab one of them.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking,
that'd be a
as soon as
sacrifice.
I would at least run towards that door.
I
That's
would've-
what I thought.
I would have grabbed Jessica like through and then hobbled
Hey,
over.
bitch.
Because they didn't even take a chance. They
No,
were
they didn't. Yeah. And
That's like whenever people say, like, if you're running away from a bear, you just have to run faster than the person next to you.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And so, and then we have, obviously they're freaked out. They're running around. At this point, they go running through the house, and that's whenever they see the chalkboard, right?
Yeah, and it's
With
got
their
all their
names on
names
it.
on it.
And like their different rooms. And we also see, if you freeze frame it, it has Russell Wynn's name it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which the Abaddon is apparently already waiting for him to show up at some point.
Yeah, as Andrew really explains at the end, because he lays it all out.
They end up
they're like, we're going upstairs.
We're going to the balcony.
Yeah. And David's like, we can't go up there. And then Mitchell's like, why the fuck not? And he's like, because I saw your documentary. Like, we can't go up there.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good.
Yeah. Which is, I hope a whole lot of other people did not watch the documentary and failed to catch the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
They end up, before they get up there, as they're running up there, they end up seeing a girl having the conversation on the phone, right? Is that this?
Not
that's
yet.
not yet. My bad. That's Mitchell later on.
But they do, they're trying to get to the balcony. And then, actually, I think we flash back to Morning Mysteries at this point. And we're as they decide that they're going to try to go upstairs. And,
oh, yeah. They're bringing up Alex at this point, right? The Morning Mysteries and talking about Alex Taylor and how he actually never got permission
to use
do
the
anything
hotel.
there.
Yeah.
And they're explaining his motives.
And it kind of touches on the fact that Hell House was running out of money, which I went back and listened to our Hell House 1 episode. And we were unsure with that scene with Tony in the grass.
Because they kept it so
vague. Yeah. We were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But Hell House. And as we find out later, Alex had invested all the company's money and not his own money, and basically lost all the money for the company.
Yeah.
And that was the big secret in the first one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That we didn't really get to find out about. And then the second film explains it a bit more.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Leaving some questions unanswered and then explaining it later. We love it.
And so they're talking about that. And that's whenever we say that, I think it's Mitch mentions that Alex was contacted by the spirit.
By the hotel,
Yeah, of the hotel.
And they were like, what do you mean? The hotel's been closed since the 80s. Like, he's like, no, not like a front teller desk, like called him up. Yeah. He was like, yeah. He was like, but something drew Alex there.
Mm-hmm. And it led to a chain of events to draw more people into the hotel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we flash back to them, I believe, going into trying to get to the balcony, and they run into a girl. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was the same girl from downstairs or if it was a different girl or the same one that got Paul.
But she's
I don't know. She looked creepy though.
And it's because there's other like mannequin things, and she's just standing there, and that's when she like blinks her eyes.
Yeah,
right? And they're
she
like,
blinks,
whoa!
And they're like, ah.
And it was like a weird area that I didn't remember
recognized
seeing
from other parts
because it was like a lot of chain link and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't remember seeing that in the first one.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's a part of the hotel
we hadn't explored yet.
Yeah, haunted house that we never got to or something. Mm-hmm. But so they run back into Paul's room, I believe. It looked like Paul's room.
That's what I thought.
And they barricade the door and stuff. And it was so creepy whenever she starts like knocking on the door so hard. And you could see the door like shaking. I was like, ooh, this little girl's got strength.
Strong.
She's strong.
She's a power lifter.
Probably she was up there doing squats the whole time while she was waiting. And then
ectoplasmic squats.
They came up and she was like, oh, let me set my bar down.
For real. And so we have them obviously freaked out, and they're basically kind of they're stuck because they can't get out. They can't run out. They're afraid to go out because of the spirits and stuff. And I believe they're going over footage, right?
Yeah, and they're trying people on the walkie too.
Oh yeah.
And then the walkie,
we have you checked in for October 8th. Yeah.
Because at first you're like, oh shit, they got someone. Because it is like,
because they're changing the stations.
Yeah, and she was like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And she was like, yes, I can hear you. And then she was like, we're at the Abaddon Hotel. Like, send someone quick. And he was like, yes, I have you checked in for October 8th.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. And then that's when I think David finds the tape of Alex. He's going through all the tapes that they already had. And he's like, oh, wait, here's a tape. Y'all should need to see this. And we have a tape of Alex meeting someone who we can't see in the corner of the frame. It's April, which is
April
months.
18th, 2009.
Before the tragedy that happened on Hell House, which is Alex in the first movie always made it seem like he hadn't been to the hotel before. Like this was all new. Like this was all new to him. But apparently we have video footage of him actually being in the hotel already.
Yeah, conversing with someone who is
Tully.
Tully.
But yeah.
But you can kind of tell by his voice and stuff. And once you see his rickety old hand, that's not really rickety.
was gonna make a joke, but never mind. Alex made and so we have Alex talking to this
like
person.
My hands?
No, it's not. I was like, it's giving Joe Biden. But I'm like, let me not make this political. But wait, why does Tully kind of give me Joe Biden though?
Yeah, he does. A little bit. Like a skinnier version.
It's like
skinnier, taller.
It's like if Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden had a baby.
Yeah.
But okay.
It's Tully.
It's Tully.
He's a cult leader.
He is. That would make sense.
Maybe all of our political leaders are also cult leaders.
They are.
And they're talking to the lizard people.
Could you imagine? We have him making a deal and striking up because this off-camera person is like, well, hey, because the whole conversation is like, Alex made it. I love how the person is like, oh, you didn't, Alex. How could you use all the money that... Oh, you did use all the money. Like, kind of like explaining without having Alex explain, if that makes sense, what had happened.
Yeah.
And so...
and really ridiculing him and mocking him in the process.
Making him feel pathetic.
Yeah. I was like, damn, totally savage.
Yeah. Alex, the manipulation, right? Alex basically blew his money because he made an investment or used his money on something, the company money. And so now... this person Tully is being like, hey, look at this hotel, like this could save you from financial ruin, use this.
Alex is like, yeah, it's kind of freaky.
Yeah,
okay, maybe.
And then they end up shaking on it, right?
Yep. That's when the only shot of Tully that we get in this instance is his hand poking out, and then we flash to Molly. My
favorite part of the whole movie
is Molly here.
I kid you not, because it's dead silent, and I love how it's like in my notes I put no one, just silent, and Molly's like, "Are we gonna die?" I'm like, yes, Molly, you are, and you're gonna unfortunately be the first one.
Well, let me ask you a question to go back to that Alex situation. Yeah. I'd watched the original first movie, and then after that, I had watched the director's cut.
Yeah,
and in the director's cut,
was that included?
In the first one, they bring up the idea of they were talking to an interviewee. And they said they were going to open up at the Abaddon. And she goes, I found out where it was, and I went to Google and watched it. And the only image that Google will pull up is a picture of the Abaddon Hotel with Alex standing on the balcony.
Really?
And when I saw...
That was in the first movie? That was in the director's cut?
Yes.
So I watched them all so close together that I couldn't remember if that was in the third one. And I just hadn't gotten to it yet.
So I was wondering if on that handshake, if he never left the hotel.
Oh, and he was already dead.
Or like already there.
His spirit.
And he was one of these walking dead people that lured them all back.
Yeah.
See, that was what I never thought. I never thought that until I saw the director's cut and I saw that picture. And that changed the whole thing to me. It's freaked me out.
I like that idea. I think that's...
Yeah. And I could see that being plausible. Like it's
just like Homegirl who was hitchhiking.
Yeah, because Tully obviously had talked to him and got him involved in some kind of scheme.
Yeah.
And he said,
Tully's just that charismatic.
This is a no-lose situation here, Alex. Put all your money into it, and knowing that he was going to lose everything. And
I could see that.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean,
who's
to say that he couldn't have? Because
I make it official.
Well, and that could be the whole nother movie. There we are.
Well, it was just like I said. It totally changed the storyline to me of that particular interaction.
I'll have to go. Like, I want to watch the director's cut now. Were there other differences?
There's like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's really minuscule. Like there were some. I didn't watch them back to back, but then as I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember this part.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was like, oh yeah, right. I'm watching the director's cut.
But that I just wanted to get y'all's view on that because that changed that whole dynamic of that conversation. That particular tape they were looking at.
Yeah.
It definitely fills in some gaps that were there on how even the first Hell House people and group gang got there. But that would be pretty cool. And like to think that his spirit was so able to like go that far and like reach out to them, bring them in.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Over the course of 6 months, like is out there living like normal.
Yeah, it was a long time. That's what was just intriguing to me. I like
that idea.
And then after doing all of that with the gang
And Molly saying, "Are we
Molly.
all gonna die in
Yeah.
here?" We're back with
Jess in the interview, right?
Yeah.
And she's for bringing up the Bible. Yeah, right here. This is where she starts bringing up the reference of the Bible, the Lake of Fire,
Lake
right?
of Fire, which
Mhm.
is the name of the third film.
Mm-hmm.
And we get Andrew Tully explaining Lake of Fire a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
And then she keeps saying there was so much blood and stuff too.
She's not really coping well, it seems
No.
like. No.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
she's a little off a rocker and just kind of like saying sentences that don't make a lot of sense together. But she's just, like saying there's so much blood, the Bible, Lake of Fire kind of thing. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
And so then we're back with our group. I believe that are we still in the room?
Yeah,
And then
Molly's
there's, like,
saying
some-
she wants a vacation so she
Yeah.
can watch So You Think You Can Dance the whole time.
She wants a week off.
a week
Yeah.
off so she could just stand on her couch and binge watch So You Think You Can Dance.
Same.
And I was like, of all the shows, we chose that one. Okay.
That's her favorite, man.
It's a good show.
No judgment, Molly. And then we end up, she goes missing, right? Somehow.
Yeah. So basically, all the power goes off. The
No,
light goes
that's
off
right.
on the
Mhm.
camera.
I'm like, how does
And
Molly
David
go
is
missing?
like, David, you hear them like panicking, and David's like, don't worry, like I can get this camera to come back on. And then he gets the camera back on, the light back on, and the door is open. They don't realize this yet. And then there's somebody peeking their head around the corner too, which was so creepy. That little face, just because it was like kind of blurry. You couldn't really see it, but you could tell that it was a face, and it looked like it was like smiling.
The
Or
creepy
it
smile?
just had a creepy mouth, and it was
Yeah.
just sitting there looking at them. And then they move and it's gone. And then that's when they realize the door's
Like looking
open and
around.
oh shit, Molly's gone.
Yeah. And they're freaking out. They're like, where the hell is she at? And this is whenever they get a note, right?
Yeah, a little note on the door, and it says Molly's in the basement with her friends.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, what the heck? So they're like, we need to get to the basement to go get Molly. Which at that point, I kind of would have just been like, sorry, Molly. Like,
Molly's dead.
Molly's dead. We got to cut our losses and try to get out.
I would have been jumping out the windows. I would have been taken, like, this hotel's only like 2 stories, right? 2 stories that we see.
Yeah, I
3
guess
stories
so.
with the basement.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
survive.
that's what I don't think that room had a window.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
think
it
that's
did.
why they were trying to get to the balcony. So yeah, at least they could jump
off. Yeah.
This is the murder hotel, Caitlin.
Go into 2C, jump out that window. 2C for sure had a window.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. A big window at that. It was
Yeah.
a pretty... Yeah.
But I imagine whatever that little closet isn't going to let you get to the window.
No.
Yeah.
And so they end up making their way all the way through this scary house, all the way down to the basement, where they end up looking for Molly, and they can't really see her at first, but then they find her cuddled up in the
Cuddled up
clowns.
with the clowns. She's
poor
just
thing's
laying
like,
on their laps.
kind of knocked out, right? Just
Yeah.
like taking a nap. And then that's whenever
I imagine Big Clown just went thump on
And
top
just
of her
knocked
head.
out.
And then,
Didn't the clown have a knife?
I think so.
I think,
I
yeah,
think-
there was
I
something.
never understood why he had a knife, but he did. I
Yeah.
think it was weird.
Yeah, because
Mm.
he never had a knife at any other point
Yeah.
in the film. But
He was
they're,
ready to
they're
kill her.
there trying to get her out of the grasps and the clutches of the
Clown.
But then that's whenever the portal just starts, the freaking
Wall just explodes,
Thank
and then
you.
we've got the
That
hooded
explained it.
figures coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they get David in this
They
instance.
grab
Yeah.
him and he says, "Go, go, go."
Yeah,
And
he's
so-
like, get out of here. And you see him getting like pulled
off,
into the
yeah.
wall and stuff. And then they're going upstairs. They're all running. And then, of course, the camera starts glitching a lot at this point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all the paranormal
Evilness.
stuff is happening. So it's glitching in and out. And then they're running through the hotel and they're like, how are the lights on and stuff?
Yeah.
Or I guess David had
'Cause
said that
electricity.
earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, he was like, this makes no sense. The electricity should be off.
Mm-hmm.
And the strobe lights are going. And in the strobe light, we get our main clown
yeah.
coming up closer and closer and closer until it just goes black. And then we hear Molly and Jessica talking. Sorry, my soul. And they were just talking and they're like, can you see? And then all of a sudden it flashes back on and then the clown's right there in front of their faces and
Yeah.
the camera like glitches and it freeze frames on the clown's face for a second.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Looks like he's about to murder them. Yeah.
Would have been okay if they chose to move the end the movie there.
It would have been okay. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then
I was like, is that a question
more
or
Tully in 3? Like, I think that would have been a solid ending as well. I
just like dead stop.
the
just
ending that they did too. Yeah. But like, if that was it and we didn't get any more explanation of what happened to them.
And then it just like cuts to a black screen of like the footage that you saw was produced by Win and whatever. Yeah, I could see that. It's a good little cliffhanger because you don't know what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we cut to the morning mysteries, right? And we're with Susie McCombs, and that's whenever she's like, we're gonna take a phone call from Jessica. From I forgot what their show is called.
The Insider.
The Insider? Is that what it was? Okay, yeah. And so she's on the air and she's talking to Arnold. She's like confronting him basically, and she's like, I'm gonna blow the truth, and if you're getting paid by the city, you better leave town or something like that. Yeah, something like that. And that's whenever he's like, if you had proof, you would be doing it already. You're basically kind of giving vague threats.
Yeah. Why are you not writing about this already and blowing the lid off of everything? You're just giving me these threats and not actually doing anything. So I don't think you have anything.
And then that's whenever Susie is like, do you actually have anything? And she's like, I do, and I'll get more. And then she's like, I think she's telling Mitchell to find her or something like that.
Yeah, she says, Mitchell, if you want to know what happened to Diane, come find me. Mm-hmm. And then we're back with Mitchell, and this is where he runs into Melissa from the first movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure her name's Melissa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And because she's on the floor and she's talking on the phone with her mom, right?
Yeah. And she's like, Mom, I already told you I'm dead already.
And they took
us to hell. And
yeah.
Mitchell's coming with us.
And then he like
that was so creepy because she looks at him, she gives him the finger up, like, hold on. And he just like walks past her which is already no.
Yeah.
And then like,
hears all that.
You're just hearing the conversation like sound so normal. And then it just transfers into that. And I would have been like, running for my life.
So,
well, he turns around and she's right there, right? Just right in his face.
Right in his face. Yeah.
And then it kind of, we cut out and then we come back to Mitchell waking up, right?
Yeah. And I think we cut to a clip of him saying the hotel is dangerous and everyone should stay away because it's real.
Yeah.
And it's
the irony. Because this is where he's like, I'm never going to go back.
I'm never going.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, should have listened to his own words. And then he's saying like he intends to stay away from it. And then that's when, we wake up and we're in the dining room. We see Mac and Alex at the table. And he's really this is where Tully really sets them up for the third movie. He's going into basically, it's like when the villain describes their evil plan.
Yeah.
Basically.
Evil monologue moment.
Yeah. That's what we're getting from Tully
and
at
the
this
lake
moment.
of fire and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's talking about the lake of fire, talking about how someone's going to come along and they're going to open this and it's going to be even bigger than Hell House was. And we're going to have more souls. And he's like saying the hotel never closed. The hotel never fucking closed. Yeah. And he's like slamming on the table. And he was like, we've been here all this time.
It was a reopening when we died or something
it was
like
a grand, the grand reopening.
Sings a little bit of Be Our Guest.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Which was creepy.
Freaking Disney.
He's
a Disney adult.
Disney adult.
And so we get the whole spiel from him, and then I think this is when we cut back to the morning mysteries, and she's like wrapping up their interview, and she's like, next week we'll be interviewing Russell Wynn and going over all the footage that he has put together and talking to Brock over, I guess, what they find from some I don't know. She's talking to Brock at this point. Oh, it's after everything's already done. That's right.
Yeah,
she's
Brock was talking to Mitchell too at one point and was like, "Hey, are you serious? You're not going to go back into that house?"
That's right.
And he was like, "Cause like I need to get in there and you should like come with me," kind of thing. And Mitchell's like, "No, I'm never going in that house again."
Yeah.
And then
that's whenever we get the phone call to Miss Susie, and she's with the phone call to the assistant, and she's like, "Hey, Arnold Tasselman called and said, he's sorry he couldn't make the interview. He was in an accident before the show."
And this is the one that you thought not the one that you thought that Patrick Carmichael and them were involved in, because that was the 80s. Never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they get the phone call that like he never made it in, and she's like, "What do you mean? He was just sitting here. Like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, the real guy says he's not here." So she's like, "Who the hell was that?"
Yeah, she's like, "You mean the guy that we just interviewed, like who just walked out of the studio 30 seconds ago?"
Yeah.
And so then you're like, "Ooh," and this is when I was like, I thought he looked like Andrew Tully. But yeah, then I guess this is where Tully's really explaining that we never left. The hotel's always been occupied, and then we get the song. And it's Diane playing the song.
Yeah, on the piano.
Do, do, do.
Really freaking out Mitchell. Because I think at this point, he was also trying to help out Jess and Molly, who are tied up at this point.
Yeah.
And basically Arnold's like, no. Like, that's not going to work. Here's what we're actually going to do. You have to make a decision.
One person can leave.
Yeah.
One person can leave, so that way we can keep these dominoes going.
That's to go back to the other thing where you were talking about the councilman not being able to make it. It's just another domino Tully put into play in all of these people throughout this whole universe. Everybody we've seen up until this point, and both movies have
Andrew
been.
Tully's just a puppeteer.
Yes,
he's
true.
Controlling everything.
Yeah,
he's God.
honestly,
Let's pray to him.
He is. You pull back and he's being manipulated by somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this constant kind of keep pulling back, and eventually you get to the big baddie at the end, I suppose.
That's controlling everything, trying to get out of hell.
And trying to make the evil leech on and grow even more into our world. And so that's whenever we have him getting that ultimatum of like, you have to choose either Jessica or Molly, and then Andrew Tully is then savage, and he's like, you know what? I'll make your decision easier, and just starts killing Molly.
Just stabs Molly.
Yeah. So honestly, there was no choice at all whatsoever.
Yeah, he said, I thought it would be a tough decision for you. We'll take one out of the running.
Yeah. So no decision at all. And then that's whenever
because he could have also chose himself.
Oh yeah, I guess, right?
Which would have been. Right? I feel like he could have.
Was he an option?
I feel like he could have been. I don't think he said you have to choose between these two.
He could have. Yeah, he could have been.
Picked himself. Yeah. So it was nice of him to pick Jessica. But yeah, he took one person out of the running.
Yeah.
And they kill Molly. Poor Molly. She's just dead.
Yeah. And then I think this is, for some reason, I have in my notes, I think Tully's the one. I think we get an explanation from him, but I think he's the one that he's been sending the footage to Wynn. Yeah, to Russell Wynn.
He's like, I've been sending it, and he's the one who sent the leaked
information to
package
Jessica.
from Patrick to Jessica. Yeah. He's basically, again, he's his little dominoes.
Yeah.
And he's lining them all up so that way they can topple over and it causes one thing to happen. And he's just acquiring more souls for the Lake of Fire. And then we don't really get to see what happens as we get Mitchell standing up, and we don't really get to see what happens as he walks over to Jessica, but we just hear Jessica screaming, no. And then all of a sudden you're hearing like squelching, and then it just goes silent.
Yeah.
And then we basically we pop to Jessica.
Her back on the interview chair.
Yeah. And back in the police station. And they're asking her, all these series of questions again, like, who are you with? Like, what was going on? And she's just like, no, I don't know anything.
If you want to find anything out, go to the Abaddon Hotel.
Yeah.
Right?
And then it pans across her face, and she's like,
yeah,
like scary demon face. And then they come back, and then she's like, you know what? Actually, I was at the Abaddon Hotel. You should go there. And then it's roll credits. But then we get some little footage of Alex and Mac recording, talking about how basically it full on goes to explain of Alex basically telling Mac of how he lost everything. And Alex is pitching the idea of Hell House and the Abaddon. And they're explaining like that the rest of the crew, no one can know why we're leaving the city. And Max says the words, I feel like you got us into something we're never going to get out of. And that's the last line as everyone else shows up. And it
pretty
was like,
daunting.
Oop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You did get us into something no
Very
one else was going to get out of. Yeah. And maybe Alex was already stuck in it himself.
As we mentioned.
Yeah. He never got out of it. And so can't go down by himself.
And that is the Hotel LLC to the Abaddon Hotel.
Yes, Hell House.
Hell House. What did I say? Whole house?
I just Hotel House. I
Hotel
think.
House. Oh my god.
I don't know what you said.
It was all kind of jumbled up. But yeah,
2018's.
it was pretty.
Directed by and written by Stephen Cognetti, who we luckily got to interview, and you'll
which is
hear
pretty interesting.
That interview. It'll come out after we cover 4.
But
since there were some spoilers for 4 in it.
Do you want to go over into the boo base?
Into the ratings? Boo ratings. So how we do things here is we do a boo rating on a scale of 1 to 5, or I guess technically 0.
Yeah, 0 to 5.
0 to 5, 5 being the best. So basically stars, but we give him little boos or ghosts. And we, that's what we do. And then we explain why we chose our rating and stuff like that. First off, I'd like to go ahead and say that I'd like to change my original rating for Hell House LLC.
Okay.
Yeah. I was listening back, and I think this is when we were a little bit harsher with our critiques. Yeah. And we're trying to give everything, like, not just like give things a 5.
Yeah.
And I was like, that film definitely deserved like a 4.5 to a 5. We both gave it a 4.
Okay.
We both gave it a 4. But
so it should be higher.
I would like to make my original, like a 4.75 or something. Really up there.
Yeah, especially now.
4 is still really good. And you can do like 0.75, 0.25, whatever you.
It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3 or 0. Like it can be in between.
Yeah, because sometimes we're like.
I think there's also in terms of watching everything as a whole.
I think you get a totally different perspective.
Because if you were to just watch that movie on its own, it's still great. But
it's still really good.
There's just so many layers now that it gives you more of like an appreciation, admiration for the amount of detail and work that was put into all of it together. So I see.
Like we were talking about how he's already set up 4 and 2, which was just wild.
And pulling up like
to have that much forethought and to have this world built. Yeah, it is a world. He's created a world. Cognetti, you've done something great.
And it really shows you just like the amount of love that goes into the process as well, because this is very much his like love child, this is baby, this is everything. So
it's really impressive.
Well,
Josh always goes first.
I'll go ahead and go, and I will give Hell House 2. So if we're well, I would give it a 4.5. A 4.5.
Why is that?
I really thought it did well of carrying on the story. I thought that there what's the word? It's just it pulls back layers even more. I love how we got that added information from the first one on why like Alex needed Hell House the Hell House to work and why that location. I liked how we found out that like there was a bit of restraint from Steven in the first one from kind of putting all the apples on the table, all the cards, and now getting information. And I thought that it was because there was probably a 1,000 ways it could have gone with, taking the storyline in the second one. But I thought it was like, it made sense enough and it wasn't too far off from the actual storyline that we got from the first one, that everything made sense and was like in terms of now putting 1, 2, 3, it was, a good progression, if that makes sense, into furthering the plot and the story and the narrative of what we're dealing with in the universe of, Hell House. I thought, sure, some of the acting on, like you mentioned earlier with Molly and stuff and Jessica was like a little bit it was a little campy almost at times. I felt like it was more kind of like hammed up to me is what I got. Yeah. Campy, which I feel like even especially you watch the third one, there's a lot more humor and stuff injected into the third one.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Especially one of my favorite characters, Harvey, right? But I really kind of felt like it was more so, I felt like he was aware of the situation and aware of like the type of acting that was going on. You know what I mean? And not like taking it as like, it wasn't taking itself too seriously, if that makes sense. Yeah. But it was just serious enough. But I don't know. It's a 4.5 for me, other than just like, I feel like because it's a middle chunk of a whole part or bigger story, it holds up even on its own as well. You get some good scares in there. I thought the clown, of course, was obviously like when he's at the door and they're all about to try to go and leave, and then the moment with the what's his name, Brock and Malcolm, whenever she's in the room and then she ends up on the other side of the corner, you're like, oh shit. So yeah, I thought overall, I think if anything, it could have had maybe even a few more scares in there. I don't think it had as many as even the first one did. I think it could have definitely had more scares, but I think also it was laying down more foundation for us to just know, like,
giving us more of a storyline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I thought it did pretty well.
It was telling a story with some horror thrown in. Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a solid 4.5 for me.
Cool. I don't know how accurate these fun facts that I have are today.
Okay.
Because I always just pull my fun facts from IMDb, which I think is kind of like Wikipedia. I think
anybody
can
could
just
like edit
put it on there.
Put whatever they want.
Yeah. But apparently the filming location is a real Halloween haunted house now, open to customers in the fall of whenever
so cool.
this was written. So that would be cool.
Yeah.
If that's true.
It is true.
It is true.
And they also, during Halloween, they have several special days where you can do the Hell House escape room.
Oh.
Cool. Oh, that sounds scary.
Yeah.
So,
Is the clown sitting in there with you?
we don't know. Mike doesn't know if he wants to do it.
So what I'm hearing is that we're taking a field trip.
I would love to. It is, yeah. It's available as a haunted house and as an escape room.
That is
That's
so cool.
cool.
Yeah, no. That is awesome.
I think
To
they're going to
have
have the attempting to arrange an interview with the owner as well.
Oh, neat.
That is
That's
so
really
wild.
cool.
Yeah, and then, see, that's what happens when someone makes a really cool movie and everything that spawns off of that. Yeah.
Producer Joe Bandelli. Let me hold this closer to my eyeball so I can read. Bandelli is uncredited in the movie, but plays Brock's cameraman throughout the film.
Oh, Malcolm?
Plays Malcolm, yeah. And then his second death as a cameraman in the trilogy is what it says. So
maybe in the first
in the first, but that was Paul, unless he was the tour goer.
He could have been.
But he got out, right? The one
don't
of the
know.
YouTube footage, they got out, didn't they?
They did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe that's not the most accurate. And then it also says that producer Joe Bandelli, I'm just going to call him Joe because I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, donned the clown mask and costume throughout the film as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's cool. Who knows if, again, that's true. But
we can ask them hopefully here soon. We'll have to fact check.
We know who dons it in the fourth one. But
what's your boo
boo ratings? Yes. Maybe I do change number 1 to a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, just so that way I feel, because I think I still liked the first film more than I liked the second film. Although I do have to appreciate all of the forethought that went into the second film, like I've talked about the whole time with, Patrick Carmichael and everything else like that. The fact that he had built in the world and he was putting tiny little clues in here and there for us to really build on and keep this series going, which is so neat to me. So I think I'd probably give it, I'd probably give it a 4.5 as well. It was really solid film. It had a good amount of scares for me. I wish maybe that we would have seen a little bit more from the clown. That is the thing that like freaks me out the most about these films. Even though I collect clowns and stuff, this clown is just unsettling in so many ways.
As much as Tully is like, the main villain, the clown is like what you associate it like with the Hell House. Like you just kind of the image and you see the clown,
Yeah, exactly. And Tully in and of himself is terrifying because he is the one orchestrating all of this right now. And so he's terrifying in like kind of the scary way of like how humanity is terrifying and the terrible things that can happen just in life. He's not like a spooky
he looks like a feral man.
He looks like, a normal old man. And but he is still scary. Yeah. So I think a 4.5 for me. I liked it. I liked the storyline of all getting to see the disappearances of all the other individuals throughout the house and over the course since Hell House had happened, kind of filling in some of the plot lines for the hotel and stuff like that. So I think it was a great film. 10 out of 10 would watch again.
Would recommend.
Yeah.
And Casey?
4.5 out of 5.
Well, I think we are jaded by having, seen them all. I know 2 and 3 get beat up pretty hard online.
They do. Yeah.
But
3 especially, I feel like.
I think it's the idea of, us having, if not in the process of watching all 4, have pretty much watched most of it. To go from 1 to 2, having, just seen it and not know that there's a 3 and a 4 coming. I think that's where a lot of it, people are like, maybe it wasn't very scary because there wasn't a lot of super scary things in there for a horror movie.
Yeah.
But for the storyline, like you said, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of viewers are like, when they watch the 2 and 3, they're like, well, I'm here for the scare.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the story.
Yeah.
But you have to take it. It's crazy that, he's thinking about this entire thing, at this point, 2 movies down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's thinking about, I enjoyed it. Yeah. For me, 4.5, 5. But again, I think we, at this point come at it from a totally different perspective as almost historians trying to figure out those Easter eggs and those little things he's dropping.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah. I think had I watched this without having watched 3 and 4 immediately afterwards, I probably would have given it a lower rating because I didn't know. And then going back, I'm talking on this film, having seen it multiple times now.
Yeah.
And I think because the first time, like I said, I didn't. Whenever she said Patrick Carmichael, I hadn't seen the 4th one yet. That meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I just kind of glossed right over it and was like, okay, this is just some rando, but it's not some rando, which is
at the
so
time
cool.
it was.
Yeah, at the time it was.
That's what's crazy. It was. And you watch it the first time and you're okay, Patrick Carmichael. And then 2 movies down the road,
becomes important.
Yeah.
Once again. Yeah.
It's so wild how, and I think, it's hard not to appreciate the film from once you've.
Our perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a part of a whole. And that's what, like I said, we rate it different than I think other people do.
Yeah. I give his universe 5 out of 5 boosts.
Yeah.
Because he's creating such a neat.
And I think it's also
universe.
exciting for us to know that fingers crossed that there's more to come. So there's almost this we're almost exploring it. It's like I feel like that's with anything, when adventure or those fantasy film and all that, when Lord of the Rings and stuff, when you get into the lore, there's so much that you can get into and delve into, the history, like you said. We really are looking at it in terms of historians, because there's so much to appreciate in terms of the bigger storyline. So I agree with you. People probably beat up on the 2nd and 3rd one because if they were standalone films, I could see sure, that's what's going on, but it's because they're in major support of the rest of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so neat.
Yeah. Which I could also see how a lot. No, I'm sorry to interrupt your rating.
No.
How the first one and the 4th one, they actually get really good praise online and stuff, and I can see because the Hell House LLC kind of is the inception of that original idea.
Yeah.
And then the Carmichael Manor is also in itself, even though it ties in, is its own entity in itself as well.
Yeah.
To where you can appreciate it as kind of almost a standalone in itself as well. So I can see where people maybe get lost in the 2 and 3 in terms of their purpose, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But their purpose is to spell everything out.
Yeah.
And really make all the puzzle pieces fit.
Yeah. It's just more backstory.
Yeah.
But your Boo rating?
I would say
probably
4.25.
4.25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm weighing in what I know from what I've read of other people, what they think, and I understand that, because otherwise I'd say, yeah, it's a 5 because it's good stuff. But to me, where it fits in with what we're doing and talking about, it's a good solid 4.25 because I know it's going to build on other things.
Yeah.
And if we also put into perspective for those maybe who don't see it in the lenses we do, or like get the extra information, like this dude made all these movies in like a couple weeks, like 14 days, 15 days, like on a limited budget, like pretty much all him putting his heart into it and like finding other actors and people who are also putting their heart into this project, because it's not like some big budget, expensive thing.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sure people weren't getting paid like, thousands and thousands of dollars, for their roles. It's very like, it's a heart, when it comes to it. It's
doing
like
it because you love it.
You love your craft. You love what you do,
You're making art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so.
And it is art.
Yeah.
Well, and this has this is, and we talked about, movie to movie to movie, at the smaller budget, there's a good chance that there will be another one made. What really, scares me when I watch something, let's say like on Netflix, you get into a season of something and then all of a sudden it's not generating the money that somebody else needs. And they go, hey, one season, that's it. End of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is, like I said, enough passion project to where we can get somebody to come up with enough money for 5, and then that generates more for 6 and things like that.
It can only go up, hopefully, from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But that is our take on the Hell House LLC to the Abaddon Hotel.
From 2018. Thank you so much for joining us today. We
Thank
really
y'all for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a lot of fun.
We're going to be covering number 3 and number 4 here pretty soon.
And then we'll release our interview with Cognetti, and probably, I didn't talk much in the interview with Gideon, but it still would be interesting for y'all to hear. So
yeah, no, for sure.
I think we'll be releasing at
I'm
least
excited.
the Cognetti interview on our feed, but maybe as well the Gideon interview, and then be on the lookout for Abaddon Eyes.
Yes.
It'll be coming out soon on Rogue Media Network, which is where we are today. They always take great care of us. And you can listen to us and all the other amazing podcasts like Abaddon Eyes that will be coming out all in one central place, and that is
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
That's right. And then you can listen to us on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest 2 being
Spotify.
And also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, and subscribe.
That's right, because that's the only way we can get ahead in this world. Tell all your friends, word of mouth. We've
just
got,
like the Abaddon Hotel.
Just like the Abaddon Hotel. Lead them all back here.
Literally.
Yeah, we don't talk about Abaddon, but we do.
We need to talk more. We need to make shirts.
I know that say, because, we talked about that in our last episode of making shirts that say, or stickers that say, we don't talk about Abaddon.
Yeah.
And
number 1 rule.
Yes, number 1 rule of Abaddon Hotel. Don't talk about it, but do.
But we do, yeah.
But bring everyone back to it.
And then what's next?
You can listen, or you can reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on Hell House, why you liked the second film, or if you're gaining a bigger appreciation for the film after listening to all of this and like realizing there is a world to be built around it. Let us know your thoughts, and you can do so on Instagram, which is our one social media platform, and that is at
Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boobays, not your boobabes.
That's right. And until next time, you guys, we'll be covering the Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire next. So be on the lookout. These are all Shudder exclusives.
Yes.
So you can find them on Shudder or AMC.
If you have the subscription add-on on
for Prime,
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can find them on there.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.